Hi, I'm Leela Varghese, one of the writer-directors of Lesbian Space Princess.
And I'm Emma Hough Hobbs, the other writer-director of Lesbian Space Princess, and our film is in Panorama.
Kiki, you are my everything.
You don't.
Fuck.
This hurts me more than it hurts you. Saira, you gotta help me.
It's montage time, baby!
Kill the lesbian!
Then you can untap your tap cards so they can be used again. Do you understand?
What do you guys think about the sex scene in Blue is the warmest color?
Hi and welcome to the 39th Teddy Award. My name is Jan-Felix Wuttig and today I'm here with Leela Varghese and Emma Hough Hobbs to talk about their film Lesbian Space Princess. Thank you guys for being here. It's a real pleasure to have you.
It's like you said my last name so correct.
Yeah, same.
I'm so impressed. Amazing.
I hope you didn't have any contrary experiences the last couple of days. But
Just a few.
Okay,
Not
okay.
here.
Not here.
Okay,
not
okay.
here. No.
All right. Well, I my pleasure.
Thank you so
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah. Thank you
It's
so
off to a
much.
great start.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the film. As I've been saying, I've been looking forward for this interview because even though I have watched a lot of good films for the Teddy selection this year, I think I laughed more in your films than in all the other films combined. It was really an incredibly entertaining time. Maybe you could tell me a little bit about how the idea for the film came to you.
Thank you so much. Firstly, that's it's always amazing to hear. So there's an initiative in South Australia where we live by the South Australian Film Corporation, and it's called Film Lab New Voices, and it's about encouraging first-time filmmakers to get and underrepresented voices in feature film directing to get a chance to direct and write a film. So we saw that. Emma was thinking of...
Yeah, I was thinking about applying. I was trying to encourage you to apply, and then we had like a little bit of an argument about,
Well, Emma was I hadn't thought about directing a feature film like a lot, to be honest, because I guess I'd kind of decided that wasn't something I never felt entitled to directing a feature film. I guess I just didn't have enough of a belief in myself to be like, I should direct a feature film. And so you were really like encouraging in that way. But you were thinking about applying with some other people. And I kind of was like, even when I have a girlfriend, I can't get them to work with me. And then
yeah, and then so I stormed off and I said, I don't see you pitching me anything. And then I had a shower, and then in the shower, like the fog, or there's Lesbian Space Princess, and I like kind of ran out like half naked with my hair in a towel, and I was like, babe, I got it.
And I was just like, that's so silly. But then it just kind of stuck with us, so it was very much like a title first.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit of a silly joke, and then from there we just built a story that we were really passionate about.
Yeah, your condition was that it could be camp and fun, but it also had to have a lot of heart, which is what you do a lot with your work. Yeah.
I loved so many of the ideas that you put in there because of like literal queer space and Straight White Maliens and I don't know, the whole like Blade and everything about it was just crazy and so funny and so entertaining. And I mean, there's a very serious subtext beyond that all, but the whole presentation was brilliant. Could you tell me a little bit about how the ideas sort of came together when you were writing the script and you were kind of, I guess like putting in ideas like where could they go, what could happen, the abduction and everything?
Well, it was kind of it was a part of the lab was like the scripting process, and so we kind of started with a structure.
We had this like 1 week where we kind of figured out like what the arc was, what the journey was, and how we were going to tell the story, and kind of all the stuff of the ransom, and and then it was just like from that point on we took it and we rewrote and wrote the script, and just it was like no idea was too silly, and it made sense to like lean into something being kind of ridiculous.
And I think we kind of believe in following, like, we kind of chose a fairly simplistic story about, like, a protagonist going on a quest, and we just knew that we could make it interesting by putting the, like, our own personal flares onto, like, maybe a story that's kind of, sort of been, every story's kind of been told, but it's about what you bring to it, what you put on the bones of it that makes it really, like, feel fresh and original. And so we put a lot of ourselves into the characters in the film and the ideas
and also, like, bringing the genre of, like, adult animation and just making it, like, to its core, like, queer and
and also just less of a we wanted to represent voices like ours in the adult animation space, because we felt like there's a lot of straight white men voices in that space, and you know, it was important that we really just wanted to create a film that was maybe for an audience that craved that content, but had never had a film that had been made by people that were like them.
Yeah.
And so,
Very much so. How did you approach the animation? I mean, did you have previous experiences, or was that just,
Well,
So
Emma's an amazing, talented animator.
Yeah, so I've always animated, like, my own stuff, but shorts. And you're a musical comedian and a film director in live action, and so we're kind of, like, meeting the two worlds. And so the, like, character designs are kind of based on how I drew in university. And so we kind of brought them back because they're, like, super fun. They've got the noodle arms. And yeah, I mean, I love 2D animation. I love anime.
Yeah.
You know, heavily inspired by Mater Zim and Adventure Time and stuff. And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see the. I was going to ask you about some sort of inspirations, because it reminded me a lot of Adventure Time. Also, kind of about the tone, because it's so crazy and you know, so entertaining.
Yeah.
But there's so many beautiful frames in there. There's so much about the art. When you thought about the film, I guess what I found very impressive was that it is not some sort of the story is not that much cliched, because what I felt in sometimes the portrayal of queer spaces is that it is sort of like this land where everything is just sort of great, and everything has every love story has a good end, you know. And what you created felt like very real, very lived in, very sort of like it starts sort of with this bubble that this spaceship kind of crosses, and you kind of feel like, okay, yeah, it is a safe place in some regards, but it also kind of is a bit of an illusion, kind of. And so when you have kind of relationships falling apart, and also like parenting that kind of collapses, or that is sort of not good parenting at all, that felt very authentic, you know. How did you approach that kind of topic? Was it just something that came natural to you when you wrote the story, or?
Yeah, I think you know, no one was safe in this script. We weren't trying to idolize anyone. We just wanted to show that, you know, in the queer community, outside of the queer community, there's imperfections in, like, everyone. And so I guess it was kind of just about writing a story that was not. It was just a story that we wanted to tell. It wasn't necessarily thinking about any of that stuff. It sounds really lame, but I guess it's not thinking about it too much, and just kind of creating every character in a way that isn't, like, linked to identity. So it's like, I think, you know, the queens, they're not great. And I think you know, it's like, it's an interesting thing. It's like, when you make a queer movie, do you have to represent the community in a way that's, like, very gentle and making sure it's very delicate? But I actually think people appreciate it when you show, like, more, you know, like, complex characters and characters that feel like you.
Yeah, and part of that in the world of the film as well is, you know, in this we've, like, flipped the world of today, and so the characters can breathe and be, like, themselves in, like, a more extreme way than something more grounded.
Subversive. But like, I think, like, that that idea of like she's in the queer community but she doesn't belong there. And like, you know, like sometimes in Clitopolis, it's like it's kind of that classic thing where she has to leave her hometown and see that there's worth outside of that world. And it would be such a confusing thing. Sometimes it's such a confusing thing to not fit in a space that you think you should fit in. Yeah. And I think like that's something that I know I've struggled with in general.
And there was a quote that we were talking about early on, which was a Hannah Gadsby quote, which is, "Where do all the quiet gays go?"
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answered the question.
It did. Yeah, very much so. One thing that really impressed me about the film as well was the soundtrack. How did that come to be? How did you guys write the songs? You did?
Okay. Well, I write songs and I do musical comedy in Australia. And I think I secretly always wanted to be a musician, so I was like, well, got to combine that into my career now as a filmmaker. But part of the idea of making this film was that it would be like this beautiful combination of all of our talents and skills. And one of those was that I was like, I want to have original music in the film. And we actually wrote versions of the initial scripts didn't have songs originally. Yeah. And then
we were trying to figure out what we could give Willow, and then on draft 2, I think, was when you took like a week or something and wrote all the songs in 1 week.
Made those songs. Yeah, it was literally a week where it was like it was sort of now or never in terms of script delivery, because if the music wasn't added after that script, it felt like it would never make it in. Okay. And I remember our script supervisor, Alex White, was like, "Oh, so it's like a musical now?" And it was pretty funny because it went from having like no songs to suddenly having songs, you know, scattered throughout it. And even like in production, I think like there was an extra song that was added, or just before production started, we added an extra song too. And but I can write a song. I can write a song pretty quick. Sometimes they just come out And we want to continue to do that as we move forward with like projects. Continue to make that a part of like our stories. Is that there's music in there that's original.
So I'm guessing you already have a couple, like a project lined up in the pipeline, or?
Yeah, we've got like a development slate and a few projects we want to keep working on. Yeah, all clear.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, I love the film. I love the soundtrack. I love the images. I love the animation. The whole script was so amazing and so funny, and I just know for a fact that the audience is gonna love it when they see it next Tuesday. Right?
Tuesday night, yeah.
Next Tuesday at the premiere. Guys, I want to thank you again so much for being here and for taking the time and for making this movie. It's incredible. And that's it from me. I hope you have a great rest of the Berlinale.
Thank you so much. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching. I'm glad you liked it. Everybody should watch it, really.